Hey everyone, Silver Contrail here. Today I just want to talk about some of the upcoming Wind Dragon support that's a little confusing, and I'm not exactly sure why all the Wind Dragon support is going this direction, and honestly, I'm a little unhappy about it because personally I would love to play a lot of Wind Dragons in the upcoming new Dragonity deck. There's plenty of synergy there sort of already. I think it'd be really cool to build the deck around Wind Dragons with a focus on some of the new cards, especially the new Dragonity Armorgram, and as well as I think there's a lot more applications now for like Levitine. There's cool places to play these Wind Dragons, especially considering we have Tempest, it's legal. But the problem is the support is just it's weird. It's very odd. So recently, this card was revealed. Nor's LC Dragon of Beauty and Faith. So this card is kind of freaky looking. Honestly, it looks like something out of Monster Hunter a little bit. And basically, it can special summon itself for a discard. You get to discard a level 5 or higher monster, and then you can summon it from the graveyard, which is fine, right? Like in a vacuum, okay, cool. Like it's a card that you can just summon back and get back. It's level 7, which is kind of weird, but whatever, right? The problem is there is no shortage of cards that are played this way that need to be discarded, including the Armed Dragon deck itself, the new Armed Dragon deck with the Armed Dragon Thunders, which have plenty of discard outlets already. They like to be discarded, yes, but you actually have like way more cards that want discards than you have cards that want to be discarded. So the biggest problem with that deck is actually just running out of cards in your hand when you don't have Super Rejuvenation. That's kind of a problem because there's also a Pile Arm Dragon, which again wants you to discard a Wind Dragon or level 7 or higher Dragon monster to special summon it. So great, now you've got your main deck Armed Dragon Thunder monsters. You've got this thing wanting your discards. You've got Pile Arm Dragon wanting your discards. It's a lot of cards. We've also got Tempest generally wants discards as well if you want to use its effect. And then you also have the Miradora, which can summon itself from the hand like a hand trap. I mean, basically, you're running out of cards in your hand faster than you can replenish them. Granted, Super Rejuvenation, again, does exist for those cards that do discards, right? It's a good way to recover your card advantage at the end of the turn, but it doesn't really help you up front as much, which, in today's game, you do need the help up front, right? You need to be able to break boards, you need to be able to build good boards, and being able to recover your card advantage at the very end of your turn, I mean, depending on how many hand traps you have, that's either kind of helpful or not helpful at all. So, we also have this world premiere ritual monster that's yet another Wind Dragon, and as well it came with a ritual card in Blazing Vortex that lets you summon like any wind ritual monster. At least I think it's any wind ritual monster. I literally already forgot. It's the ritual spell called Breath of Acclamation, which is not printed as a ritual spell, although it actually is. It's any wind ritual monster. Again, there's not really a big reason to play this unless you want to discard yet more cards. This one's level 9, so it's a little bit different. And then there's also Knight of Armor Dragon, which is actually might be one of the better pieces of support just because pre-preparation of rights exists. If this card didn't exist, I would never recommend running any of these Knight of ritual monsters, these level 4s that you can attribute to summon a monster from the deck. Alright, there's one for Red Eyes that I used to play a lot. Knight of Armor Dragon, it's okay, right? You can tribute it to special summon a level 5 or higher wind dragon monster from your hand or deck. This isn't too bad, just because there are some decent targets for it. The ritual spell, you can also banish it during your main phase, except during the turn it was sent to the graveyard. And then basically you can also banish monsters from your hand or face up in your field whose levels equal 4 or more. And then special summon a Knight of Armor Dragon from your graveyard. So Basically, you get 2 uses out of this to summon the Knight of Armor Dragon. The problem being, of course, you do need to banish yet more cards. So more cards going going away from your hand as quickly as possible. I hope you weren't planning on having a hand at any point in the duel. But I think this card is kind of cool. Again, like I said, you're sort of getting the whole combo for free with pre-prep. If you can search it with pre-prep, it's not as bad, and then you can use it to summon basically any of these guys that you want. You can search Tempest, but I think maybe one of the better targets here is actually Leviatine, because if you have a Phalanx, or a Kaus in your graveyard, one of the Dragonity level 2 turners that can summon itself, you can summon this off of that. And then use its effect to snap on the tuner, special on the tuner, and then go right into the new synchro when the synchro comes out and goes from the bast. So it's like kind of sort of a way to access a monster effect negator with basically a single card and then one piece of tribute fodder, which could be anything, right? It's not maybe the best play, but it's probably not too bad considering what else you're looking at here as far as wind support. Technically speaking, Dragonity Armorgram isn't wind support directly, but it is kind of sort of dragon support and also winged beast, which there's a lot of overlap between wind monsters there, and there's a weird space for it too. This is actually probably the most most efficient card in the deck, which is why I kind of am eyeballing this the most as like us. I won't necessarily say a centerpiece, but an important part of some kind of future high-level wind dragon deck, because this thing has the dragon ruler-like effect, right? You banish 2 dragons or winged beasts from your graveyard, and you can special summon it from your hand or graveyard. So this is a perfect card to discard, because guess what? You don't have to discard another card to bring it back from the graveyard. You just banish what's already in your graveyard, which is really nice. And then it also has this effect where you target a face-up monster on the field, negate its effect, and it loses 1,000 attack and defense for every equipped card you control. Even if you don't have an equip card, it's a solid effect. And then also, if it destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can equip that monster to Dragonity Armorgram, which is also really nice. So it's like a really solid package that doesn't necessarily do as much as you would like it to do in core Dragonity, but maybe there's a space for it in some kind of weird beatdown wind high-level wind dragon strategy. Again, it's all very confusing, because if you look at the levels of the monsters here, right? You've got the level 7 Pile Arm Dragon, you've got level 5, level 7, and level 10 Arm Dragon Thunders. You've got, of course, the level 7 Tempest, the level 7 Miradora, the level 7 Noruz. Leviatine happens to be level 8, which is, of course, fine for synchro potential. But yeah, that's kind of an issue where so many of these cards are level 7. And honestly, if you look at, if we go and we look at rank 7s, I can find my 7. There is not a lot of fantastic rank 7s. There's some okay cards in here, but nothing that says, wow, I really want to base my strategy around it, right? The days of making Dracosac, detaching 1, and then passing turn are far behind us. Although now I suppose you can turn it into a Link monster if you really want to. Not necessarily a bad strategy. Big Eye is okay. But again, not a ton of cards here, right? If Tomahawk was still around, again, absolutely. But not a lot of cards that are just yes, this is what we're doing. This is the deck that we're making. Nothing that says you need to make this deck now because this is like making rank 7s is worth it. And unfortunately, without that, it's really hard to figure out where these cards are supposed to see play. I mean, you would think, right? You maybe play these cards, obviously, in Armed Dragon Thunder. Obviously, Graham is going to see play. I would expect it to see play in some capacity in Dragonity. I think it's a fine card. It's not the best combo piece you can have, but it's kind of useful in a pinch. I don't know. I think you'll see plenty of deck lists without it, but I do actually kind of like the card. It also kind of fulfills a sort of power fantasy for Dragonity for me. But do these cards really help Armed Dragon Thunder that much? do they really have Dragonity? And if they don't help either of those decks, what exactly are they for? Like what exactly is this card for? I mean, granted, you could play Nora's in a bunch of different things, but yeah, it's very confusing. So that's sort of my video, and to kind of toss it out and ask you guys if you have any thoughts or opinions on Wind Dragons going forward, if there's a deck here, if there's not. I'm not the game's preeminent deck builder, so, but I see all these wind support cards and I can't help but think there's something here. It's just it doesn't add up into anything, which I know is a feeling we've all experienced when we've been deck building. So that's it for my long and rambling video today. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time then.